Welcome to Tomo News. All the best stories of crooks getting their asses handed to them by armed citizenry.
Jewelry store heist foiled when owner pulls out a shotgun. While working at Joyera Molina's jewelry store in Fresno, California, this is the weapon that saved No Guzman from would-be robbers. Friday's surveillance footage recorded the wannabe jewelry thieves pacing the store nervously, pretending to show interest in the merchandise. While one suspect asks Guzman about bracelets, the other suspect racked the slide of a handgun behind his partner's back. Forget about bracelets, these amateur thieves were now demanding cash. Guzman said he moved to the side so that his uncle, the store owner, who was in the back with his daughter and grandchild, could see that her robbery was in progress. While making a phone call, the unarmed suspect tries jumping the counter. Haha, we need to see that again. He then finds walking around the counter is easier, but little did he know he'd soon be running. The suspects nearly crap their pants when they see the owner come out of the back with a shotgun. Mr. I Can't Leap Over the Counter hits the floor, then heads for the door. The armed robber looks confused. Should I shoot or should I go now? Looking down the barrel of a shotgun may have led them to question what they've gotten themselves into. The amateurs finally come to their senses and split, probably thankful they didn't catch any lead. Guzman and the owner were happy nobody was hurt and that the perps were caught on camera. Police are still looking to identify the Hispanic suspects who they believe to be about 17 and 21 years of age.
Son saves family and kills gunman at father's convenience store. A son defended his family-owned convenience store and fatally shot a robber in southeast Houston Friday evening. Houston police have identified a Hispanic male, Sam Abogelbosch, as the now deceased suspect who went into a local convenience store in the afternoon with an unidentified female as an apparent customer and returned later that night as an armed gunman. Around 10:30 p.m., Abogelbosch returned by himself carrying a tactical shotgun and demanded money from the store clerk's daughter. That's when the owner of the convenience store quickly handed his son, Usman Seth, their semi-automatic handgun, and he immediately fought back, shooting Abogelbosch in his leg. Seth's family had been robbed numerous times before, so the 20-year-old decided to put up a fight. Seth shot the robber again, and this time he hit his other leg, causing Abogelbosch to fall down. This surveillance video shows the armed suspect hobbling around the store, firing shots at Seth and his family. This Texas shootout went on for 5 minutes, but Abogelbosch didn't back down. Seth shoots him again until he finally falls to the ground. That's when Seth disarms him, who then crawls to the front of the store before finally surrendering. Seth's family says police arrived within minutes, but the 28-year-old robber died at the scene.
I don't feel good because he died, but I don't have no regrets. And I feel proud I saved my sister and my dad's life.
A grand jury will evaluate this incident and consider charges against Seth for killing Abogelbosch. For Tomo News US, I'm Miriam Atai.
Teen shot to death while trying to carjack retired NYPD officer. An 18-year-old Brooklyn resident has been shot to death by a retired NYPD officer who says the teen tried to carjack him at gunpoint. 55-year-old Derek Bishop was on guard duty, sitting in his Benz 430 when 19-year-old Manuel Ocampo knocked on his driver's side window. Bishop rolled down his window and saw a 9mm pointed at his face. "Give me all your money before I shoot you," Ocampo said. Bishop reached into his pocket to retrieve his money and discreetly unbuckled the holster of his own gun. Bishop only had $60 to $70 on him, which enraged Ocampo. He continued to threaten Bishop. "I'll shoot you." Ocampo ordered Bishop out of the car, then got in the driver's seat himself and reached across to unlock the passenger door for his cousin, giving Bishop an opportunity. Bishop ran to the back of the car while Ocampo was distracted and drew his pistol. Ocampo tried to shoot Bishop, but his gun jammed, allowing Bishop to fire 4 shots. The teen was hit in the chest and head, but Ocampo still managed to run 150 feet before he collapsed, dead. Ocampo's accomplice, his cousin, was tracked down by officers within a few hours and arrested. Ocampo's parents are in disbelief and claim that their son couldn't have been a carjacker because he was supposed to be at work.
Hero Pharmacist saves customers from armed gunmen. Thanks to his trusty concealed weapon, West Virginia pharmacist Don Radcliffe, his customers, and his staff are alive and well after an armed gunman stormed the store. Just after 9 a.m., Don noticed the masked man. He jokingly said, "This guy might be here to rob the place." Shockingly, it was true. The man pulled his weapon, and Don, without hesitation, drew his concealed handgun. One of the 3 shots fired by Don hit the robber's gun as he was aiming to fire back. The suspect, identified as 25-year-old Terry Gillenwater, was transported to the hospital where he later died. The 8 customers and employees inside of the pharmacy at the time were uninjured. While Don Radcliffe is sad for the loss of life, he told local TV news station WCHS that he takes solace in his daily devotional, which coincidentally made reference of a robber.
Man defends his property, kills intruder robbing him. A Texas man took the law into his own hands late Saturday evening when he killed an intruder who broke into his home. Around 3 a.m., a burglar made his way up the driveway of the family's home in the South Park neighborhood of Houston. The thief broke into the kitchen window with a metal bar, shattering the glass before climbing in. The homeowner, who wants his identity to remain anonymous, woke up to the alarming sounds of glass shattering and quickly grabbed his handgun. The man snuck into his kitchen and saw the intruder stealing items from his living room. The homeowner fought back and gave this perpetrator his death wish as he dropped his items on the floor and attempted to outrun his shots. The suspect died on his kitchen floor, leaving the resident relieved. His disabled father and sister finally awoke from the whole ordeal and couldn't believe their eyes. They called Houston police and told them that they were in a real-life nightmare. Man fakes fainting, defends property, and shoots intruders. A homeowner outsmarted 2 burglars who invaded his home in broad daylight by pretending to pass out before shooting them Thursday afternoon in Katy, Texas. 2 masked men broke down the doors of a Morton Ranch home around 1 p.m. and tackled the anonymous homeowner in his bedroom. The men tied and duct taped the man's hands and legs together. They strangled his neck in a headlock position, telling him they would kill him if he fought back, so he pretended to faint. In the other room, they tied his friend's son, then ransacked the entire house before reaching the man's gun safe. They couldn't break into it, so they grabbed anything they could get their hands on. The homeowner managed to break free and grab his gun. He positioned himself, aiming his gun towards the front door, waiting to open fire. The Morton Ranch resident fired every round from his gun, shooting both men repeatedly before calling authorities. 3 area schools kept children on campus, and police blocked off the neighborhood to find the 3rd suspect, who is currently still on the loose. The 2 injured burglars were taken to the hospital and now in custody of Houston police.
Hold-up victim turns the tables on his captors. Edwin Robinson and his partner in crime messed with the wrong guy in Jackson, Mississippi early Saturday morning. Their botched robbery ended when Edwin was shot dead in this plot of grass in a residential neighborhood. The other suspect is still on the loose, according to police. Neighbors identified the victim as a local doctor. He was loading his truck when 2 armed men approached him. They forced him back into the house to get his wallet. They made him drive to a nearby ATM to withdraw an undisclosed amount of money. Then they stopped the car and threatened to do something to the victim's wife. So as they forced him out of the truck, he grabbed his own weapon and shot at both suspects, killing Edwin. The other man fled to a nearby church parking lot where he took off in a tan SUV without plates. Police say the man was last seen wearing a bandana and a dark-colored shirt. Edwin's family posted they'll be holding a vigil for the 23-year-old this week and linked the post to this Facebook page, apparently Edwin's. Authorities are calling Edwin's death a justifiable homicide, but they will send the case to a grand jury.
Bank robber suspect shot by customer with concealed pistol. A bank robbery in Warren, Michigan was foiled by a customer who pulled out his gun and shot the suspect. Warren Mayor Jim Fouts said the customer was within his rights to use his concealed weapon. On Monday afternoon, the robber, described as a 43-year-old man, held up the bank and demanded money. The bank teller handed over some cash before the robber pointed his gun at a 63-year-old customer, who whipped out his own gun and shot the suspect 3 times, hitting him in both arms and one leg. He tried to flee on foot but fell over outside the bank, dropping the bag of money. Police arrested the suspect, who was bleeding on the ground. An ambulance took him to St. John Hospital and Medical Center in Detroit. No one else was injured during the holdup. The customer who shot the suspect is cooperating with police, who say he had a permit to carry a concealed pistol. Local CBS station WWJ 950 tweeted a quote from a witness who said, "I just feel like there's no place to be safe. Here, school, the bank, KFC?" Twitter user Adam R. wrote, "My stomping grounds. Another defensive gun use, hashtag gun sense, claims never happens, hashtag whatever it takes, hashtag NRA."
Milwaukee teens attack janitor with bat, get shot to death. 2 Milwaukee teens were shot to death Wednesday morning after allegedly attacking a janitor with a baseball bat. Anne Marie Miller, 17, and James Bell Jr., 19, were pronounced dead at the scene, while a third man and the janitor, both unnamed, have been taken into police custody. The janitor and the group met in the staircase. People nearby reported hearing a fight. Allegedly, the 20-year-old man held the janitor while Bell struck him with a baseball bat. The janitor then took out his handgun and shot the 2 teenagers to death. When one witness arrived, the teens were dead and the janitor appeared disoriented. Relatives of Miller and Bell, who had 2 children together, are demanding to see the surveillance tape, which police say caught the whole scene. Armed robbery ends with robber and victim dead. A father in North Houston was killed while taking his wife and baby daughter to buy ice cream on Sunday afternoon. Erasmo Alinas and his wife, Deanna Priscilla, had just arrived at the strip mall at 200 Aldine Bender Road just after 5 p.m. when a man got into their car next to the baby and pointed a gun at Priscilla's neck. "Give me all you have," he demanded, and at first Alinas handed over his cash. But then Alinas grabbed his pistol and a gunfight broke out inside the car. Alinas was fatally shot and died in the driver's seat, while the robber was able to get out of the car. But he didn't make it far. A few paces into the parking lot, the robber collapsed on his back and died. Police are looking for a gray Dodge Charger which the robber's accomplice used to drop him off. Immediately after the shooting, a man, who is apparently the victim's brother, was recorded lashing out in anguish at the killer, who was already dead. Deanna Priscilla says Erasmo Alinas is her second husband to be taken from her after the father of her other children was killed in another robbery in 2007. The family has set up a GoFundMe page to help cover Erasmo's funeral expenses. You can find the link below in this video's description.
Uber driver shoots gunman who opened fire on a crowd in Chicago. An Uber driver shot a gunman in Chicago after he saw him opening fire on a crowd of people in the city's Logan Square area. On Friday night, the 47-year-old Uber driver was in his car, watching people walking by, when he saw 22-year-old Everardo Custodio start shooting at a crowd of people. The driver, in a spark of heroism, promptly grabbed his gun, pointed it at Custodio, and shot him several times until he hit the ground. Custodio, now in the hospital with injuries to his shin, thigh, and lower back, was charged with aggravated assault and unlawful use of a deadly weapon. The driver, who used a licensed gun, won't face charges because he acted in self-defense and in the defense of others.
Detroit restaurant employee shoots and kills armed robber. A restaurant employee shot and killed an armed robber in Detroit on Sunday. An armed robbery took place at the Pete's Grill Coney Island restaurant in Detroit's east side on Sunday morning. A man walked into the restaurant and threatened customers while waving a gun back and forth. A restaurant employee then pulled out a gun and shot the robber, killing him at the scene. Police are investigating whether the evidence matches that of a self-defense shooting.
Woman blasts stalker as he kicks in her door. A Las Vegas woman can finally sleep well again after she shot her stalker of 6 months last week when he kicked down her front door. Apparently, the victim dated 22-year-old Douglas Eugene Jackson for a month before he started stalking her. She said it started with about 40 to 45 phone calls and 50 text messages a day. He would also show up at her place in the middle of the night, threatening to kill her. She was forced to move and obtain a restraining order. She then acquired a license to carry a concealed weapon and started showering with her gun. For the past month, she had started propping a chair up against the front door at night when she slept. And a good thing too, because last Friday night at around 1:15 a.m., Jackson kicked the door down. She was ready at the top of the steps when he entered, shooting twice and hitting him once in the chest. Jackson fled the scene and tried to hide in some nearby bushes, but was discovered by canine officers. He now faces charges of home invasion and aggravated stalking.
Oklahoma mugger nearly ventilated by handgun-carrying senior citizen. Check out this sweet-looking elderly man. Easy target, right? Doug Jandeber, 84, was leaving his business in Tulsa, Oklahoma on Monday when a mugger spotted the elderly man. As Doug was getting into his truck to drive home with his wife, the thief pounced, punching him and grabbing his wallet. But the robber hadn't counted on a couple of things. One, Doug is a U.S. Army veteran, and two, Doug doesn't ever leave his house without his little friend. CCTV footage caught this image of the moment the tables were turned on the would-be thief. The mugger got the wallet, but as Doug put it, he also almost got himself ventilated by Doug's automatic handgun. The robber turned tail and ran. No one was seriously hurt in the incident, but Doug told the media he was very glad he had his gun with him. In fact, he told reporters that anyone who doesn't arm himself is asking for trouble. Do you agree with Mr. Jandeber?
Man targets the elderly, keeps getting out of jail. 26-year-old Aaron Lujan now finds himself in jail for the third time in less than a week. On November 18th, after getting out on bond for a drug charge, Lujan decided to use his freedom to rob an elderly couple's garage just 2 days later. When the 70-year-old man and his 66-year-old wife caught Lujan, they held him up at gunpoint until police arrived. This police body camera footage captures the moment officers responded to the elderly couple's 911 call.
Where'd you just get out of? MDC? Huh? When?
You'd think at this point, Lujan would have learned his lesson. Getting out of jail on bond that same day, Lujan waited nearly 24 hours to try his luck with another senior citizen, robbing an old woman of her car keys at gunpoint. Lujan offered to meet the woman to return the keys a day later, but suspicious of his motives, she called police. After trying to evade the cops for a while, officers managed to track Lujan down, hiding up in a tree by a golf course. Now in jail on 2 bonds for separate crimes, Lujan's probably not getting out for a while. Probably.
Florida family uses deadly force to thwart attempted home burglary. A burglar was shot and killed after he attempted to enter a home in Winter Haven, Florida in the early hours of April 7th. Luis and Basabina Pena, as well as their adult son, woke up after hearing noises on their back porch. The 3 family members armed themselves and headed to the kitchen. Luis then shouted at the burglar, telling him not to enter their home. Luis then fired a warning shot, but the burglar was not deterred. Multiple shots were fired after the burglar broke through the door, and the suspect was hit by at least one of the bullets. Exactly who fired and how many shots were fired is still under investigation, but police have confirmed that at least 2 weapons were discharged. When police arrived at the scene, the burglar was found dead inside the home. Police identified the deceased as 40-year-old Mitchell Large, who lived just a mile away from the Penas. Large had a criminal history that included assault and domestic violence charges. Authorities say the Pena family is not likely to face charges as they acted in clear self-defense.